I want you to.
He said, I'm gonna get started.
Yes,
In about 2 minutes.
I should have already been.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was about.
That wasn't actually catched there earlier.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Any points?
Saludos, saludos, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Adriana, estoy aquí con mi compa Verónica para ser sus intérpretes de hoy. Greetings, good afternoon. My name is Adriana, and I'm here with my compa Verónica to be your Spanish-English interpreters today. Entonces, a ver, si hay alguien en el cuarto que no agarró su equipo y lo quiere usar para apoyo, puede pasar por aquí. If there's anybody in the room who didn't grab equipment and wants to grab some for support in English, Spanish accessibility, you can get it here. Déjame solamente para ver aquí en el cuarto, ¿quién habla español? Alce la mano, diga, huepa. Ajá. ¿Y hay alguien que habla español que tiene un poco de dificultad con inglés? Okay, so I asked who in the audience uses Spanish. We got a couple huepas, and who uses Spanish and has difficulty with English. We don't seem to have anyone here today, but if you know of someone who walks in through the door who needs this support, please do let them know that we have this here. It's pretty seamless, simultaneous interpretation from English to Spanish. If in the Q&A you want to bring your Spanish in, because we're not only here for monolingual Spanish speakers and monolingual English speakers to help bridge communication across languages, we're also here for bilingual people. There's many ways to be bilingual. So if you feel like what's coming through wants to come through in Español, we're here to interpret for you as well consecutively on the mic. We're part of the Hudson Valley Language Justice Collective, offering these services to not only invite our immigrant and Spanish-speaking community, but to actually include. And it takes some time to build that trust and get people used to the fact that we're building spaces, like the commitment of the organizers today, to invite the participation of all sorts of languages. We know that people have brilliant, important thoughts in all sorts of languages in our community. So thank you so much, and we're here to support.
Good evening, everyone. Okay. I was placed here to get the crowd charged up for our guest speaker. Let's show our guest speaker who Poughkeepsie is when I say good evening. There we go, there we go. It's always good to be in the company of champions of children. Given the political and economic climate, our roles as ambassadors to student success, prenatal to college and career, takes on a new meaning and importance. We must remain steadfast in our commitment to deliver an equal and high quality educational experience for all. I want to take time to note who's here this evening. We have our wonderful members of the Poughkeepsie community here this evening, and it's so good to see all of you. Your commitment to being here reflects your commitment to the children of the city of Poughkeepsie. Before we get our night started, I do need to recognize some important individuals here before us today. Would like to recognize our mayor, Mayor Yvonne Flowers. I would like to recognize Common Council Chair, Mr. Duran Wilson. I would like to recognize Common Council Member, Andy James. I would like to recognize Common Council Nidra Patterson Thompson. And lastly, I would like to recognize Common Council Member Sakima McClinton. Before you this evening as well, we have a few board members from the Poughkeepsie City School District that I would like to recognize. I would like to recognize Board President Fatima Martinez Santiago. And Board Trustee Robert Creedon. We also have some additional dignitaries in the house. I would like to recognize Regent Wills. And Chancellor Dr. Lester Young. Are there any additional dignitaries we have that I may have missed mistakenly? Okay. So with that being said, what I would like to do to really start this program off and get us energized with what Poughkeepsie is all about is to introduce our JV and varsity cheerleading coach, Miss Edmonds. Coach Edmonds.
So much. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here. We're super excited. I am Poughkeepsie's varsity cheer coach, and this is our JV coach, Coach Zai, and she was going to introduce her team.
Good evening, everyone. I present to you the Poughkeepsie Pioneer JV cheerleading team.
Can we give our young ladies another round of applause? As champions for children for the Poughkeepsie City School District, we have been fortunate in being trailblazers in ushering in a school, home, and community approach to meeting the evolving and varying needs of children throughout the city of Poughkeepsie. We work with students and support students regardless of race, ethnicity, poverty, or circumstance. Our collaborative efforts has and continues to change the life trajectory of Poughkeepsie City School District students and is supported by the efforts of the Poughkeepsie Children's Cabinet, which has been supported by the Harvard Ed Redesign Lab. Through the leadership of the Ed Redesign Lab, the cabinet was introduced to the Harlem Children's Zone, William Julius Wilson Institute, a national resource for place-based, people-focused solutions that open pathways to social and economic mobility. We have been gracious and grateful to have had the Harlem Children's Zone, William Julius Wilson Institute work with the Poughkeepsie City School District and Poughkeepsie Children's Cabinet in helping to develop our 10-year strategy map to be able to address the needs of our children. As I reflect back over the past 6 years, the journey this community has experienced is an exemplar of how school, home, and community can collaboratively advance the interests of communities here in the city of Poughkeepsie. Our collective impact will continue to combat intergenerational poverty that has existed far too long in our community. Our collective work embraces an understanding that the lives of children, particularly those who will be our community's future citizen leaders, will be defined by the investments we make in them today. As I transition from this phenomenal community, I am comforted with knowing that the leadership in this community will continue to champion the lives of children. The Children's Cabinet is in great hands under the leadership of Jill Gomez, and the governing board. As with the Poughkeepsie City School District, is in good hands under the leadership of Mr. Gregory Mott, who will serve as interim superintendent upon my transition, as well as the Board of Education, who has supported this important work since day one. Mr. Mott intrinsically understands the role of schools in the cabinet. He and I started our careers back in the early 90s in Buffalo, New York, and are both cut from the same cloth that acknowledges the blessing of leadership, our obligation to meet the needs of all children. So I'm very thankful that Mr. Mott has stepped up to serve as interim superintendent to be able to carry forward this great work. I'm going to close by simply saying thank you to all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As I mentioned previously, your presence today means a lot to the children and the families who all depend upon us to be able to create greater opportunities and access to social mobility and greater academic success. I am truly honored to be in your presence. I have the wonderful opportunity of introducing a man who has done great work in communities throughout New York State. He currently leads educational institutions across the state. Dr. Lester W. Young Jr. has an impressive record of accomplishments throughout his more than 50 years of public service. As a career educator, Dr. Young served as a teacher, guidance counselor, supervisor of special education, principal, associate commissioner with the New York State Education Department, and superintendent a community school District 13 in Brooklyn, New York. While he has held several positions throughout his career, Dr. Young firmly believes that the actual achievements of a career lie not in the positions held, but in what has been accomplished in those positions. His contributions include establishing some of the most successful high school and middle schools in New York City, implementing the nationally recognized algebra project and Comer School Development Program, and leading the first New York City Office of Youth Development and School Community Services. Dr. Young volunteers as a mentor to superintendents, principals, and aspiring leaders. He has been recognized for his professional contributions by various local and national education and civic educational organizations. Continuing his commitment to public service, Dr. Young serves as the New York State Commission on African American History and the boards of several statewide and local non-for-profit organizations. As Chancellor of the New York State Board of Regents, Dr. Young remains committed to creating opportunities for every student to succeed, which he considers the guiding principle to his work. His leadership and legislative advocacy resulted in establishing the New York State My Brother's Keeper initiative, in which many of our young men have benefited from here in Poughkeepsie. Chancellor Young's leadership was instrumental in transforming the Board of Regents' approach to education, focusing on equity and excellence for all students. Under his guidance, the board passed a diversity, equity, and inclusion policy and advanced legislative and budget priorities to create more equitable opportunities for the countless young people here in our great state of New York who are seeking a high-quality educational experience. He believes this is a testament to the profound and lasting impact one can make through education. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Lester Young to the stage.
Thank you for that more than generous introduction. Good evening. It is a real pleasure to be with all of you this evening. This is perhaps one of the most important, I don't want to call it event. In my mind, this is really about a movement. And the movement is, how do we ensure that we can educate all of our children? And I'm going to say a lot about that in the time that I have. But I would like to just recognize my colleague, Dr. Fran Wills. I know she's here. Fran represents the 9th Judicial District, which is the district that Poughkeepsie is a part of. So she is your region, and she is here, and you should have a sense of the importance of the evening, because not only do you have your region here, but I'm here as well. So that should suggest something. The other point that I would make, when the superintendent was reading my bio and he talked about the 50 plus years, you can imagine that I'm in prime time now. You can laugh, but I recognize it and accept it. And like my dear friend said earlier today, you know, I don't have much more time ahead of me. However, the work that we do each and every day is important enough for me to be here with you and not on a beach somewhere enjoying myself. See, this work is so important. Educating, in fact, in my opinion, there's nothing more important than ensuring that each and every one of our young people have the education they deserve and are entitled to. I would also like to express, on behalf of the entire Board of Regents, my heartfelt gratitude to the entire Children's Cabinet team. A special thank you to Mayor Yvonne Flowers, Senator Rob Rawlson, and of course, our Superintendent, Dr. Eric J. Rosser, for your vision and your determination and your commitment. And there's another C word that we don't often hear when we talk about education, and I will say it is your courage. Because we are in a very moral moment right now, and it begs leadership. And the leadership that we need is a leadership that has both integrity and courage. So thank you for what you do. And I would thank the entire Children's Cabinet team, the staff, the community, the elected leaders. And if I left anyone out, it's not because I don't care about you. I just don't know you. But there is a bold vision, and that's why we're here. There is a bold vision in the city of Poughkeepsie. You have been able to set forth a vision for change that requires, and it's interesting, the jargon talks about paradigm shift. And essentially, all that means is changing the way we operate, right? And so there's a vision afoot here that says that we are going to change what we do. We're going to change the normal behavior. We're going to fix education. And why do I say that? I represent education for the state of New York. And I am the first to tell you that one of the challenges that we face in this state is that we have a system of maintenance, right? We have a system of maintenance. It is an education system that if we do nothing about it, it's just designed to keep everyone where they are. And so for me, when I heard that this city was implementing the Children's Cabinet back in 2022, I made it my business to contact the superintendent to say, look, you've got to tell me more. And then after I spoke to the superintendent, and I believe the first meeting was a Zoom meeting, it was on the heels of COVID. And I had a chance to meet with the team, with the then mayor, Rawlson, at the time. And at the conclusion of that meeting, it was clear to me that they were serious about what they were proposing. And I felt obligated to invite them to a Board of Regents meeting at which they came. The entire team came and spent 2 hours at the Board of Regents trying to help my colleagues and I understand that you were serious about this idea of cradle to career. How do we support young people not to just complete school, right? Because that's part of the paradigm shift. Because all too often, you know, our education institutions are designed to say, let's just get them out, right? Let's just get them out and let them go. Not that we're concerned what happens next. And so for me, I've learned over time that the real measure of success is how prepared are young people to be successful at the next level, right? We should all want to know how our youngsters fare when they leave us. So have we really prepared them to be successful at the next level? So what are the things that I know? And I'm just going to talk education for a couple of minutes. two things I know, and I call them part of my leadership lessons. The first thing that I know, that strong educators, educators who call themselves committed, they understand that their primary goal is to transform their school cultures to ensure that the culture understands that it is their number one responsibility to help everyone in that school system know that whatever the barriers are to learning, those barriers do not reside inside of children, right? That it is their responsibility, everyone in the school culture, the community, the business, the educators, the parents, everyone has a responsibility to ensure that schools work, right? So school, the responsibility of school, we have principals and we have teachers and we have superintendents, but it takes all of us to make sure that our young people are learning. And so the children's cabinet is a strategy to make that happen. The second thing is, you heard in my bio, a superintendent mentioned someone very near and dear to me, Dr. James Comer. I consider him my mentor. And he said many, many years ago that educating children is very complicated. But he said, you know, Lester, if we fail to address what individuals need to function well, if we fail to address what they need to function well for both themselves and relation to others, right? For themselves and for others, that they will then start to act predictably, meaning they will be anxious, absent, angry, right? If we don't help our young people and give them what they need, well, they'll act predictably. And so that means that schooling is more than just reading, writing, and arithmetic, right? Schooling has got to be, in addition, not only what you know, but it's got to be what you are like. Because what you're like determines what you do with what you know. And so we've got to work together to ensure that we've put in place a strategy that's really designed to help all children. And so for me, when I think about schools in the 21st century, the schools of the future, we're talking about places where our young people have to be prepared to go beyond just the mere possession of knowledge. In other words, they have to know more than just know stuff, right? To memorize, they have to know how to do more than just memorize something on a piece of paper for a test that they forget the day after the test. So we have to be concerned with what they can do, the problems that they can solve, or their ability to get along with others, their desire to want to help their friends do as well as they do. We have to tell our young people and show our young people that they should use their education not as a way out, but as a way in. That's the vision and the beauty of the Children's Cabinet. That's why I was so excited to learn about the collaboration with the William Julius Wilson Institute, the Harlem Children's Zone, and my friend over, I won't say how many years, Geoff Canada. And it's interesting because when I see him, I think about some of the first time we met, and I'm just going to leave it there. I won't talk about all of it, but I think about this because it was a time when I was actually working with the state education department, and I was taking the Amtrak, and it was in the early mid 80s. And at the time, there weren't a lot of people that looked like me that had a suit on riding the Amtrak on the first train in the morning at Penn Station. And so this other young man got on the train, and we would see each other. And after around the third time seeing each other, we kind of did the nod. And some of you understand what that meant, right? So, and that's where it all started, right? But throughout all of those years, it's really about the struggle to ensure that all of our young people can receive the high quality education that we truly want for our own personal children, right? That's really what this is about. And so I would like to salute this entire community for having the courage and the foresight to develop a model for the entire state. See, I believe that what you're doing here is something that we can package and take as a model for the entire state of New York. We've got 733 school districts in this state. We have some of the best schools on the planet. The problem is, quite frankly, they're not available to everyone. And so now that I've said that, see, I think in the time that I have, in the years that I have, I want to spend it trying to turn that around, right? Trying to make sure that all of our young people have the opportunities that they need. See, that's the only thing that's missing. I will tell you that our young people are absolutely brilliant. Now, why don't you applaud? See, let's understand something. I had a chance earlier today to meet with some high school students from the Poughkeepsie High School, and they were sophomores and juniors. And as I spoke to them, I mean, it was a phenomenal experience for me because, you know, they were smiling, they were energetic. I told them I was with the Board of Regents. They didn't get mad because of the Regents test. But seriously, our young people are extraordinary. They are absolutely brilliant. And all they need are the opportunities that can be provided by adults who first love them, right? You got to love them, right? You got to love our teenagers, as hard as it is. But you've got to be willing to put your arms around them. And when you do, I mean, just think about this. How many of you would not be here if you didn't have a second chance, right? How many of you? And some of you don't want to raise your hand, but I know there's some of you, right? Some of you are in this room because someone gave you a second chance and even a third chance and maybe a fifth chance. But isn't it worth it? I mean, just think about it. Think for a moment. Think about this analogy. You know, the butterfly doesn't start out as a beautiful winged insect, right? The butterfly starts out as an ugly thing, right? Like a caterpillar, right? But then it goes through a metamorphosis, right? And it actually, when it completes this, it's this beautiful thing. Well, that's kind of like what happens with our young people. See, every bit of energy, those of you who are teachers, if you're in here and you're saying, look, it's hard. It's hard. I know it's hard, but it's worth it. See, Think about that butterfly. See, what I will tell you, every ounce of energy, every waking hour in the middle of the night, oh, I got to get this lesson plan together. Oh, I got to deal with Johnny again. See, all of that energy will result in something beautiful. And that's why we have to put our energy behind the children's cabinet. And I would dare say, in addition to our energy, what's in our pocket. Because so, folks, together, see, I believe that if we have the vision, if we truly believe in all of our children, see, we don't need to discover a new pedagogy, a new way of teaching. See, don't believe the hype. We do know how to educate our children, right? We don't have to go out and discover a new theory, or we don't have to borrow from some distant place to figure out how to teach our children how to read. I mean, I think it's amazing that people absolutely would admit that we don't know how to teach children to read. They actually say it. And see, what I say is, what do you believe? What do you believe about the possibilities of the young people that are in front of you? See, it starts with that. See, if you believe that what you have to offer can in fact help each and every one of these young people that are looking at you, that's where it starts. It's not about, did I teach phonics? Of course, you got to know how to, it's ridiculous to think that you could learn how to read and you don't know how to sound out a word. Everyone knows that. But that's not the problem. The problem is, do we truly have the will to see each and every one of our young people be successful? And I think that's the beauty of the cabinet, because the cabinet is about all the children, not the children that we used to have or the children that you wish you had, but the children that are in front of you. And I want to salute you for working with the children of this city, so that once you do it, once you prove it, we can take it to the rest of those 733 districts in the state of New York. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chancellor Young. I really appreciated your insights and being with us here today, and particularly your call to courage and to love. Thank you. For those of you that I haven't met yet, I am Jill Gomez, the Executive Director of the Poughkeepsie Children's Cabinet. I'm so glad that each of you is with us tonight. I know that for all of us, educators, youth program staff, parents, students, what we will hear tonight is very personal. I know that it is for me. Each of us are in this room tonight because we believe in the children of Poughkeepsie, and we believe that it is the responsibility of each of us and the systems that we collectively create to do better for them. I first heard Geoff Canada speak in 2007, and almost 20 years later, I can still remember the energy in that room. I was working for the Bronx Family Court judge, and she invited me to join her at a special event where Geoff was speaking. I vividly remember the story that he told us that day and what I witnessed. Geoff Canada was the first person I heard who wore his unwavering belief in the limitlessness of children on the outside. He had no room for doubt. And that afternoon, I saw how his passion and his words helped others in that room, all of the judges and attorneys, enroll in that same belief. That's powerful. Mr. Canada has made it his life's mission to empower young people from under-resourced communities by connecting them with the opportunities and resources to realize their full potential. To bring his vision to life, Canada launched Harlem Children's Zone, a comprehensive cradle-to-career pipeline of programs that the New York Times has called one of the most ambitious social policy experiments of our time. Starting as a one-block pilot project in the 1990s, the Harlem Children's Zone today serves more than 22,000 scholars and families living in a 100-block and growing area of central Harlem in New York City. Jeff is a trailblazer. The impact of the Harlem Children's Zone transformed not only expectations for what it meant to grow up in Harlem, but for every child growing up across America. The Harlem Children's Zone model proved that an organization and a community with the proper resources can break the cycles of intergenerational poverty that impact youth and families in far too many neighborhoods all across the country, including here in Poughkeepsie. Why we are here tonight is because of what Jeff Canada believes and has inspired so many others to believe as well. There is no limit to what children can achieve. And he so passionately believes this that he came out of retirement to found the National Technical Assistance Arm of the Harlem Children's Zone, the William Julius Wilson Institute, to reach beyond Harlem and across the country. We are here because Jeff Canada, visiting a nascent children's cabinet just a few years ago, selected Poughkeepsie to be part of that movement that he was creating. And we are here because, like the Children's Cabinet, he believes that we, all of us together, will create the pathways to economic mobility for 5,000 youth in Poughkeepsie in the next 10 years. Finally, we are here because of the leadership at the local level. The vision of Cabinet co-founders Rob Watson, James Watson, and Kylan Grier, County Executive Sue Serino, Superintendent Rosser, and incoming interim Superintendent Mott, and of course, our one and only Mayor, Yvonne Flowers. Now, Mayor Flowers needs no introduction in Poughkeepsie, but I do want to take a moment to thank her for her tireless commitment to public service and the example that she sets for all of us as she joins us on stage to introduce her.
Thank you, Jill. And I have to say, it's a pleasure working with you. Jill is our executive director of the Children's Cabinet, and she's doing an amazing job. So I want to give it up for you. Thank you. So I have to say, it's really wonderful to see such a great turnout, and I want to thank Dr. Young. Thank you for coming and for your powerful words. And of course, I have to thank Mr. Geoffrey Canada for being here. I know he's a very busy person, but I really appreciate you being here in the city of Poughkeepsie and really blessing us with your words. So thank you so much. I just hope that, when this night is over, that when each of you walk out of here, you'll have a clearer vision of how we can shape a brighter future for our youth. I know for me, the decision that I had to make running for mayor, it was based on one core belief, and that was we must build a thriving city for the next generation. And at the heart of my vision for Poughkeepsie is a deep commitment for our children. And many of you know a lot of decisions that I've been making has been based on one question: how would this affect our youth? And as I'm making those decisions, I'm thinking about, will they improve the quality of life and create a safer and healthier environment for our children? Or will it open doors for better opportunities for them and their families? Or how could it contribute to a long-term success and the well-being of our children? I'm proud to be a part of an organization that reflects this commitment. And that organization is the Poughkeepsie Children's Cabinet. And I want to thank Rob Watson and James Watson for that vision and bringing it here to the city of Poughkeepsie. And I thank you, Dr. Rosser, and also our former mayor, Rob Rollison, for creating that structure and showing us how it can happen and being able to move forward with this. So thank you for embracing that and taking on as co-chair with you, Dr. Rosser, and then it will be with, I believe, with Mr. Mott. We're going to continue that momentum going because you've put a lot of work into creating this. So we need to see it continue on and build that structure that we need in the city of Poughkeepsie. So thank you so much. And I'm going to get. So as co-chairs of the Children's Cabinet, along with Dr. Rosser, I've had the privilege of working alongside incredible partners who are dedicated in helping our children, helping every child thrive in the city of Poughkeepsie. Through the Poughkeepsie Children's Cabinet's work, we've seen how vital it is to have a strong backbone organization, one that creates services, that connects resources, and ensures that no child slips through the cracks. One of the models that has inspired our work is the Harlem Children's Zone, a powerful testament of what's possible when an entire community unites around its young people. It's a model that deeply aligns with the future that we're trying to build here in Poughkeepsie. And we've been especially moved by the work of Mr. Geoffrey Canada. His unwavering passion and commitment to communities like ours is so energizing and so humbling. He not only brings solutions to conversations we have with our youth, but he also brings those questions that we need to ask ourselves to ensure that we're effective in our own efforts. And those questions, and trust me, this gentleman here, he keeps it real. Definitely keeps it real. You can tell he's from Harlem, and he'll say, what's working. We need to ask ourselves, what's not working, and how we're going to do that better. And that's something that we have to ask ourselves to ensure that we're doing the right thing for our children. Back in February, I had the honor of attending the Mayor's Neighborhood Academy in Harlem, and it was truly a blessing to be a part of that. I participated in conferences before, and that was hosted by the Harlem Children's Zone and the William Julius Wilson Institute, and it was truly, like I said, energizing and very motivating. It inspired me in so many ways. These gatherings brought together mayors, superintendents, and community leaders all united around one goal, and that's to build systems of support for every child that includes mentorship, includes education, job opportunities, affordable housing and healthcare, just creating healthy living all the way around. One message from those events that stayed with me is that if you want to change outcomes, you must change your systems. If you believe in our kids, we must build systems that show how much we believe in them. Our children need us, and they need to feel love, as it was brought out by Dr. Young. They need to be encouraged. They need to be supported in order to navigate through the complexities of life, because we have a very diverse group of students that are here in our city, and they go through a lot. And they need to be able to have that support in order to be able to focus on what they need to do in their life to be successful. We need to build a loving and a supportive system for our children. And we have people in the city of Poughkeepsie that's already doing that. But we need to ensure that we build even a stronger system and ensure that we unite in a way that our children have never seen before. And it is happening right now. It is happening in the city of Poughkeepsie. I've been here for a very long time and been in these circles. But what I'm seeing right now, the movement in the city of Poughkeepsie right now, I have never seen before. And I'm excited to be a part of that. And I want everyone else to be excited to be a part of it, because we have some amazing partners that are coming together to rally around our kids. And now we have an opportunity to be in partnership with the Harlem Children's Zone, where we can create a system on a whole nother level that would actually bring our students to a level they've never seen before. And I'm really excited to be a part of that. But in order to build that type of system, we definitely need help. And we need assistance from a person who has done it, who's been successful at it, and who's willing to help us. And that's exactly what Mr. Canada has done for communities across the country. And now the stars again are aligning for Poughkeepsie, and Mr. Canada is here with us today, offering his guidance and support as we work to build our own system, or as you may say, to build our army of love. An army of love that brings hope and opportunities to the city of Poughkeepsie youth. It is truly an honor to introduce someone who has inspired me deeply and empowered me to push harder, to dream bigger, and fight for the future where every child in Poughkeepsie has the opportunity to rise to the point of social mobility and generational wealth. Please join me in welcoming the founder and president of the Harlem Children's Zone, Mr. Geoffrey Canada.
Wow. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Good evening. I'm so excited to be here. So Lester got me worked up this night. See, I'm good. I'm okay. But this is what y'all are missing. See, Lester, this year, 50 years I've been in education, right? 50 years. But wait. The only thing I heard Lester say, more than 50. That's all. I'm 73. I don't know. Now, wait a second. I have young people who work for me. Mr. Canada, I don't know how you do it. You're still going. I was like, how long have you been in education? 8 years. 8 years? See, I'm glad I'm not running these schools anymore. I can't get there, right? They're tired. You tired? 8 years and you tired? Yeah, because I had to work to. So, they have to keep me away from certain people. My team don't let them talk to Jeff because he don't care. Because see, I'm on a mission because this thing is serious. No, I mean for real, this thing is serious. I don't know about you, I'm at war and I plan to win. I don't plan to lose this thing. There's too much at stake for me to lose. So, I tell you, so Rob, we all go up to Harvard every summer. We have our practitioners institute. So 2 summers ago, I'm up there with my team, and this elderly gentleman, I see him bringing in some stuff into Harvard at the ed school, and he says, "Mr. Canada, don't you remember me?" And I'm like, "Who is this old dude?" Right? The guy is gray, he's bald. He's like, "I'm one of your students." I was like, "Oh God." Oh, that's when you know you've been in this game a long time, all right? I will tell you, I was retired. I did my time, right? Put in my time. I said, okay, I'm gonna leave it to the next generation and they're gonna move forward. And I was good. And people told me I would hate it. I did not hate it. No. I've been on call. We used to call it on page because that's back in the day before we had phones. 7 days a week, 365 days a year for about 25 years. So now I'm retired. You know how it is when you're in charge, Mayor. That call comes in at 10:30. It is not a good call. And a call that wakes you up at 12, you know this is bad. So now I get a call at 10 o'clock. It's my grandson. He needs $20. I can handle that emergency. Son, I can help you. They're like, my grandpa always so happy when we call him. These kind of problems are easy to manage when you've been dealing with life or death issues for so long. But now I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm going to tell you the truth. I was happily retired. I was asleep, and God woke me up. And he said, you've got to save another 1 million children.
Now, I don't know, so when I say God, that's why I don't offend anybody, because I'm telling you, my wife's a minister. I woke her up. I said, honey, God just spoke to me. Now, this wasn't a burning bush thing, right? It wasn't like, it wasn't that. You know what I'm saying? But this is what she says to me. She said, oh yeah, you're going to save 1 million kids. Let me get this straight. You got no staff. You got no job. You got no money. But God does what God wants to do. 4 months later, my new CEO said, Jeff, I'm going to do national. Blue Meridian Foundation said, Jeff, we want to do national. Will you come out of retirement? So I don't know about some of you. I need multiple signals from God, all right? Because that first one might not be God. You know what I'm saying? You can't jump at the first instinct you get, because maybe that ain't God, right? Oh, I need multiple. So I'm looking. I'm like, wait a second. They want me back. This foundation says they have money to do this thing, and I already got the message. So this must be it. I wasn't back 6 months before COVID hit. I knew why God called me back. Because if I was worried about our children before COVID, if I thought poor children in this country, in this state, in this city were doing bad before COVID, you do 2 years of no school for our kids, and you have ruined a generation of children. This is war, people. I know folks think this is the old days. This is not what it was before. Even before, we weren't serious, right? Now, you look at every indicator. Literally 2 years ago, I was saying that COVID loss is not going to get made up. It's going to get worse. You cannot have kids who have no supports at all, who need us as the adults in their life. They need, because they don't have the right kind of food. They don't have the right kind of role model. They don't have the right kind of structure in their life. No one is teaching them the next steps. When you go from the 4th grade to the 5th grade, you leave that out for 2 years, and you bring those kids back, and nobody does anything except what they were doing before. That's a recipe for disaster. So I know why I'm back in the game. And I'm here because I'm like, Lester, I don't have time to waste. So I said to Dr. Rosser, I said to Rob, both of the Watsons, I said, if y'all are serious, I need Poughkeepsie to be successful. I need Poughkeepsie to be successful, because most of, you have to understand, this is selfish. This is selfish. I'm paid to work in a lot of cities in this country. I'm not paid to be here. Harlem Children's Zone, we're not getting paid. It's got nothing to do with anything. I am here because I need Poughkeepsie to demonstrate to the rest of New York State and to the rest of this country what it means when a community comes together to save its children. Because if you can do it here, people are going to be doing this all over the country. I'm just telling you. So I have to be honest, there were 4 places that I was looking at seriously. One by one, they couldn't, they weren't serious. They didn't get the right people. They didn't have the superintendent. The mayor didn't really care. They didn't have anyone who was really prepared to do this hard work. And I was like, you're not the example. The last thing we need is another failure when it comes to this work. So we can lift up what works, but it has to first work. It has to be designed to work. This children's cabinet is designed to work, and you've got serious people here. So now I'm here because I need you all to do your job for your children, because this is what I learned. I've had this wonderful career. Been on 60 Minutes twice, Oprah about 4 times, Paul Tough wrote his book, Whatever It Takes. Waiting for Superman was the documentary that focused on education. And you name it. I've gotten more honorary degrees or whatever. All of that, none of that really means anything to me. Wait, one thing meant something to me. Can I tell you the one thing that really meant something to me? Several years ago, Fortune magazine listed me as the 12th most influential person in the world, right? No, but that's not the point. The point is, I'm married to this Black woman from Harlem, and I've been trying to impress that woman for 40 years, right? I have. That magazine came out. I got a bunch of those magazines. I was like, honey, come here. She said, well, I said, no, keep flipping. So she gets to it. She looks at it. She said, oh, okay, that's good. Number 12, huh? Couldn't break into the top 10. I was like, so I'm still working on that thing, okay? But this is what I know. When we were doing a documentary Waiting for Superman, after it was finished and they were putting it all together, for about 7, 8 months, it didn't have a name. And I kept calling the producer, hey, you guys got a name? You didn't have a name. So then he calls me. He says, Jeff, we got a name. I said, what's the name? He said, we're going to call it Waiting for Superman. And I was flattered because he took the title from something I said on camera, which is when I was a kid, growing up in the South Bronx. Lester knows what the South Bronx was like in the 50s, in the 60s. That place was falling apart. It used to be the backdrop when the president, it was burning, right? Yankee Stadium, the Bronx is burning. That was my neighborhood. That's where I grew up, amidst the rubble and the trash. And I was one of the reasons I did so well in school, I was a big comic book reader. I loved those comic books. Superman, Superwomen, Batman. No Marvel. There's no Marvel. It's before it was only DC Comics back in the day. And so I'm reading and I'm all excited. And I'm like, boy, I can't wait for Superman. My mom says, there's no Superman. And when she said there's no Superman, I started to cry. And she thought I was crying because there was no Easter bunny, right? Like, oh yeah, I wasn't crying because there was no Easter bunny. I was crying because at 8 years old, I knew we were living in a place so destructive to children that if there wasn't a superhero, we weren't getting out of that place. We weren't going to make it. And so I know you look at me and say, well, you did make it, Jeff. Yeah, but I had 3 brothers. Only 2 of them made it. My wife, Yvonne, had 3 brothers and sisters. None of them made it. She's the only one. And I will tell you what it means to grow up poor in this country. All those kids I grew up with, my block on Union Avenue was just filled with children. There's not one of my friends left alive. Not one. That's what, see, I understand poverty. It's a killer. This is, when I tell you this is war, I am not kidding. You are saving people's lives. And wait, there is no Superman except for you. This is it. No one's coming to save the kids in Poughkeepsie if you don't do it. That's just it. And so you might be like me. You might be sitting there like I was 30 years ago. And I said, I'm looking at Harlem. It's a disaster. Garbage all over everywhere. Junkies, they're selling drugs right out in the open in the streets. Trash. It was horrible. And I'm looking there saying to myself, this is a disaster. This can't be what's happening to cities all over this country. And I said, I know there's an answer. Someone who loves this country has an answer. It's just above my pay grade, right? I was the lowest associate director at that time, back in the 80s when I first met Dr. Young. I was like, it's above my pay grade. But you know what? I'm old enough. I've met a few presidents, few secretaries of education, few secretaries of health and human services. And you know what I found out? They don't have no plan. When they meet me, they say, hey, Jeff, can I talk to you for a second? Yeah, what do you think we ought to do? I was like, you asking me? You're running the whole damn country and you're asking me? They don't know. No one is saving your children. If you want to save your children, you save your own children. I tell you what, my children in Harlem going to be saved because I personally guaranteed that. Personally, I said, these are my kids and I'm going to save them. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know what I was going to do. But this is, you know, I tell you, God is amazing. This is how it happened. I'm going to give you the real scoop how it really went down, right? So I had this idea for the Harlem Children's Zone, but like, I didn't have any money. I don't know, how are we going to do this thing, right? So as fate would have it, I'm thinking about working in a place, and this foundation person called me up, said, Jeff, I'm thinking about doing a grant for people who want to work in places. I think that's funny because I want to work in a place. She was like, why don't you come in? I was like, ooh, this sounds like I could get a grant from this, right? So I go in and she says, so write me a plan and tell me how much it'll take. I said, oh my goodness, what number should I come up with? I was like, well, she's kind of serious. Maybe I'll come up with $1 million. I had never gotten a 7-figure gift before. I wrote the plan, $1 million plan. I gave her the plan. She looked at the plan. She was very unimpressed. She was like, Jeff, for $1 million? Really? You're going to end generational poverty in Harlem for? I was like, no, give me that. No, it's more than $1 million. I was like, oh man, then I'm sitting there thinking, this might be a $5 million plan. So I wrote the $5 million plan. I turned it in. She got the plan. She looked at it. Said, oh, I don't know. Seems like you want to do an awful lot for not an awful lot of money. I was like, ooh. You know what? Now that you mention it, that's really not the real plan I wanted to write. This is true. This is just how life is. I told you, didn't I tell you that I got to get multiple messages because I'm slow? So I wrote the $10 million plan. I gave her the $10 million plan. And she said, okay, it's a little better. You guaranteeing me that you're going to end generational poverty for $10 billion? I said, guarantee? I said, no, not a guarantee. You want a guarantee? I'll write you the guarantee plan. I wrote the $30 million plan. I wrote the truth. I turned it in. She said, Jeff, this plan, you're going to guarantee me you're going to end generational poverty with this plan. I said, I will guarantee you I will end generational poverty with this plan. She said, okay, it's a good plan. They only have one question. I said, what? Where are you going to get the money? I said, what do you mean where I'm going to get the money? You're not going to give me the money. I don't have that kind of money. But you know what? For the first time in my life as an educator, I told the truth. I told the truth. What it would really take to save kids. We would start with them at birth. We would get their moms great health care, make sure they knew about brain development when that kid was 1 year old, that they talked to the kid, they sang with the kid, they spoke to the kid, that we got that same child in one of the best early childhood programs. Our pre-K program starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, ends at 6 o'clock at night, full day, all day. We got all of our kids entering into kindergarten on grade level. And we got those kids at kindergarten, stayed with them through elementary school, same kids, stayed with them through middle school, same kids, stayed with them through high school, sent our kids off to college. And I thought that was it. One problem, kids went to college, they weren't getting through. I go back to my board. My board wasn't happy. They said, Jeff, you said this was it. You're getting the kids, they all graduated, they all went to college. I said, yeah, but they're not getting through. But that's another 5 years of expense. I said, if you get to the 1 yard line and you give up, then you've just wasted your time and money. We got to get the kids over the goal. That is to get them with a job connected to the labor market. That's what this thing looks like. So when I started Harlem Children's Zone, having these conversations, some of you have been to my office. I got my maps up, all my kids. I had 50 kids, Lester, going to college. I was so happy. I had 50 kids. I brought that funder in. They looked. They were like, how many kids? I was like, well, there's 10,000. He said, you got 50? I said, yeah, but it's early. It's early. We're going to get more every year. They were skeptical. I got 980 kids in college right now. All right? Now remember, I only have 10,000 kids. I got 980 of them in college. I've graduated over 2,000 kids with college degrees. This thing works. This works. But you've got to be prepared to work it. You've got to be prepared to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable. Now, accountability, that's what this thing is about, because in the end, kids don't need folks who love them but can't educate them, right? Who care about them or not enough to enforce discipline, who lift them up, but not as high as they lift their own kids up, right? We don't need those kind of folks doing this work. So for me, this thing is all my kids, I have one goal. People are upset about this. Maybe some of you will be upset too. I don't care. All my kids are going to college. All my kids, the only goal. People say, what's wrong with vocational school? Nothing. Nothing wrong with vocational school. Vocational schools are great. Military service, love it. Uniform, join the police, the fire department, you make $100,000 a year. Nothing wrong with it. It's great for everybody else. Not my kids. My kids are going to go to college. They're going to graduate from college. So you say, well, why, Jeff? You say, because I believe if you get paid to work for other people's kids, you have the same expectation for those kids you have for your own kids. And my expectation, now this might be the first place in Poughkeepsie, because I've said this all over the country, and I've said this all over the world. If you have graduated from college, and you're a professional, and you have money, I tell folks, when you're not convinced of which way to go, always do what rich people do. I have to raise a lot of money, a lot of money. That means I have to know a lot of rich people. I tried raising money from poor people. It just didn't work. I'm just saying it didn't work so well, all right? So the rich people got the money. That's why I raised. All of them have one expectation for their children. One. Now, maybe someone will stand up right now and say, Jeff, I'm a person of money, and I don't expect my child to go to college. I've yet to meet somebody stand up and say that. So when people challenge me about why all my kids in Harlem are going to college, I send them 30 blocks to Spence, the private school, and I say, you ask those people where their kids are going. All of them expect their kids, not just to go to college, but to go to elite college. Now, why can they have those aspirations for those kids, and I got my poor black and brown kids, and you want me to have a different kind of belief in them? I don't do it. One, look, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for my kids, okay? So anybody who's upset, now look, I'm going to tell you, my kids will graduate. They will all get in colleges. About 94% will go to college. Some will not go to college. But they got in. See, if you get in college and don't go, you didn't go because you're dumb. You say, no, I wasn't smart enough to go. No, you got in. You made a choice. And by the way, that's how life is. You know, I got my wife and I, we have 4 kids. 3 went to college. 1 didn't. By the way, I think that's a universal principle. If you got 4 kids, one of them ain't going to do the right thing, right? I'm just telling you, don't be mad at your spouse. What did we do wrong? Nothing. That's just how it is. Live with it. Move on with life, okay? Here, but let me tell you the most important thing. The moment I come up with plan B for my kids, I got a third of my staff thing. Thank God. I didn't know how I was going to get Raheem in college, right? They're going to put these kids on a different track. And this is what I know about those tracks. I have 5 educators in my family. I was the only one not put on that vocational track. All my aunts, both of them, teachers, one ran BOCES out in Long Island on that special track for vocation. They were told, don't think about college, you're not smart enough to do it. Look, my belief is that you raise your expectation for these young people and they will meet your expectations where you raised them. So you come into my pre-K program, all the classrooms are named after colleges. All of our kids have a creed they say. The end of the creed is, I will go to college, I will succeed. This is my promise, this is my creed. So I have my youngest son with me. We're at our school, and all the kids, they come out in the hallway, they line up, and they say their creed. They're proud. My son looks at me, he says, Dad, I can't believe it, you're brainwashing these kids. I said, yep, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'll be at graduation in June. My kids will get up and they will say their creed for the last time. As they go off, 100% of them will be going off to college. This is not rocket science. We're not special. We haven't figured out something nobody else has figured out. What we figured out is we're going to save those kids. We're going to hold ourselves accountable. And if you're not on the team, then go find another job. You can't be with us. That's not what this is about. I'm going to get in trouble, but this is just true. So, started my school, said in front of my board, I said in front of Mayor Bloomberg, I said in front of the mayor and the chancellor, I said, Harlem, worst academic outcomes for kids, District 5, that's where my kids was the worst, and Manhattan, one of the worst in the state. If I don't have a better school in 5 years, I'm going to fire myself. I said it out loud to everybody. They were like, whoa. So I got my team afterwards. I said, did y'all hear what I said? They were like, wow, that was bold, Jeff. I mean, I said, but I am going to fire myself. I just want y'all to know I'm the last one leaving. All right? All y'all going to be gone before me. Okay? When failure is an option for poor children, they fail. All right? Y'all hear me? When failure is an option, when that's the option that no one gets upset about, no one loses their job about, no one stays up all night worried that they don't work Saturday, they don't work weekends, they don't work summertime. When that's the case, then those children will fail. That ain't happening at the Harlem Children's Zone. You will not be with us. You will not be with us. Because you know what happens when you get rid of all the people who fail kids? You end up with people who have kids succeed because they believe. And there's nothing special about this. So one of the things that I learned the hard way, all of us, no matter whether you're in this business, all of us have a responsibility to save young people. Let's just fight. Someone saved us. And no one here made it all on their own. Someone reached out and helped us, and you never know in life, which is why every child in Poughkeepsie is precious, because you don't know who this child could be. So back in the 80s, I just took over from Richard Murphy. You know Murphy. Most people don't know who he is. I took over. I'm the new CEO. Murphy was powerful. But when he left, he had made a lot of enemies. And I lost about a third of my budget. I'm the brand new executive director. I lost a third of my budget. I am desperate for money. I'm going to Annie Casey in Baltimore, and I'm going down there because I got to get some private dollars. I got to try and save my organization. And this Black woman came up to me and said, excuse me, Mr. Canada, I know I shouldn't be asking you this, but my son's father was killed in front of him. And my son's already had handcuffs on. And I think I'm going to lose that boy. Will you speak to him? That's what I do. Bring the kid. Let me see. He comes in. I give him my angry black man impersonation, right? You got a single mom out there working for you every day. She's out there busting her butt, and you're sitting around acting like a jerk. What kind of man are you going to turn out to be? Your father would be just upset that you had left his wife with no man to be able to be responsible. So I'm going on and on and on. That poor boy is now the governor of Maryland. He is. I met Wes when he was 13 years old. Just another knucklehead about to be lost to the system. You don't know who you're going to save. You don't know who that little kid is. Yeah, he got in trouble. Yeah, he got arrested. You're going to give up on that boy? What does that mean? What kind of systems have we created where we decide that some of these kids are throwaways? Part of we got to save everyone. And that's why this moment in Poughkeepsie is so important. This is important. This is the real deal. I'm going to just tell you this. I've been involved in a few things that have changed history. This is your moment to change history in this city and in this country. You can do what I'm just telling you, no one's done this. No one's done this. You could do what no one has done. You could come in and create an environment that lifts these children up. In 10 years from now, we could all be seeing this on 60 Minutes. How did this city do what no other city in America has been able to do? That's what could happen because it's all set up for success. So that's why I'm here yelling at you tonight, right? Because this thing is important. This is war. This is serious. We got generals, we got lieutenants, so this is hand-to-hand combat in the schools. We got to go and save these kids. It ain't going to be easy. This is hard stuff. So we got to get the resources. We got a great team. I haven't seen a better team any place in America, and I'm out all the time looking. I don't know if you all know how special this is. I don't know if you understand it. Maybe you haven't traveled around the country the way I have and seen, as people try to put this thing together, the holes in it. You don't get the superintendent, the mayor, the county commissioner, the head of social stuff. You don't get all of that at one time. The regents, all here, all saying, let's do this for our kids. You don't see that anyplace else in America. This is our game to lose, right? This is our game to lose. So if I know the team, losing is not part of the DNA of these folks who put this thing together. This is about doing something remarkable. So this is war. I've been calling out for an army because I need folks to understand that the thing about fighting a war is that you've got to be serious about the offense and the defense. And sometimes with our kids, we're on offense. Sometimes our kids were on defense. But we're always in the battle. And every now and then, all I can do is give you a hug. I don't know what else to do. Right? It's the fourth time you done disappointed me. So all I can do is say, come here, come here. You know I'm mad at you, but come here. That's all right. You don't know which kids can be successful and which kids can't. Now, my time is over, but I have to tell you one last story. Because this is just, reality is what reality is. So I'm good with kids. The toughest kids in the zone, they send to me because I just been doing this a long time. So a couple of years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, they sent me this kid. This kid is, he's the one kid I thought he wasn't going to make it. And I don't give up on kids. He was in the gang, a real gang. This kid was such a loser, his gang was going to kill him. I was like, wait, the other gang from uptown is looking to kill you. He said, yeah, Mr. Canada. Now you're telling me your own gang is looking? Yeah, Mr. Canada, they're looking for me too. It's like, what? How? The kid's only 15. How this kid gonna make it? Then his mama kick him out. Of course, she done with him too. So my team come to me, they say, Jeff, look, you always say there's an answer for every kid. I don't know what we're going to do with him. I said, okay, wait. You know those wilderness programs, right? Out in the middle of the desert, right? You know what I'm talking about. They send these kids out in the wilderness with a backpack, right? And they have to cook their own food. They walk 10 miles and right? I heard about them. I know somebody who runs one of the best ones. I call him up. I say, look, he's a tough kid. He said, Jeff, that's all we take is tough kids. I said, no, he's a really tough kid. He said, it's all we take, send him down. I sent him down on Tuesday. They sent him back on Friday. Yes, they did. That kid was right back in Harlem, right? I was like, oh. So my team was like, what are we going to do? I said, some kids you save day by day, right? I said, we just got to keep them alive over the weekend. And then we got to keep them alive on Monday. And this is what we were doing. And then one day he disappeared. And that's always a sign, didn't get arrested because we'd have gotten that call. I hadn't heard about a murder, didn't get that call, but no, find the kid. 4 years later, I'm in my office. Receptionist said, Jeff, there's somebody to see you, some kid. Go out, there he is. He looks at me, he said, Mr. Canada, I bet you expect to see me. No, I didn't. You looking, I'm looking at him. How you doing? He got all your limbs and everything on. He said, you know what? I remember you told me I had to get off those streets. He said, so I just came in to tell you, I just finished my second year of college and I'm out that life. I looked at that boy and I said, see, God teaches you over and over and over again. You don't know the trajectory of any kid, no matter how bad it is at that moment. You give up on a kid, that might be the end. My belief, again, was reinforced. You stay in this game till the end. That's what you have to do. And when you've been in the game as long as Lester and I, you realize that as much as we know, we don't know everything when it comes to these young people. So let me close with my poem that I write poetry for advocates. And this poem is called A Small Army of Love. Heard the news yesterday, and today mothers cried. Our children by tens of thousands have died, and for what? What will stop this madness, the eternal sadness of small little caskets filled with dreams never had? Are we mad? We need a small army of love and no thanks. We don't need any rifles, no guns, or no tanks, just love and help from above. Our army will be small, diverse, and unique. Little soldiers with braid and some with sneakered feet, all marching for peace and an end to the war that has claimed little soldiers as they open their doors to romp in the playground. Can we stand anymore? We need a small army of love, start today. Sentries on guard, keeping danger away, while our young go to school and play on our streets. A small army of us standing guard while they sleep. Can't be done. And the love of our army will always sustain us when others disdain us with laughs, ridicule. Our love keeps us fighting. Yes, we're fighting fools. So I know what's been whispered and what some said aloud, those fools with their pipe dreams, their heads in the clouds. But when you love all the children, there's nothing to do but start a small army of love, me and you. Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
Let's take that off, Jack. Jack, thank you so much for being with us tonight. My name, let's give it up. Let's give it up. My name's Rob Watson Jr., and first and foremost, I'm a graduate of this school and of this district. And so when we sit here and say, Poughkeepsie's time has come, we mean it. Jeff, thank you. We are all signed up. And this was a hoodwink, so you had to sign up tonight for the Army of Love if you didn't know. We are thrilled to have you with us. We just wanted to give a few moments to have a couple students and community members that will ask some questions. Jill will tee that up. But before we jump into that, I just wanted to ask one question of you, Jeff. Can you explain, you teed this up a bit, but can you help explain to the folks in this room, many folks who grew up here, who are lifelong committed to this city, tell us about this movement. Tell us about that million and the folks that you're working with across the country. What is Poughkeepsie a part of? What can we learn from? What can we gain? I just would love for folks who haven't had a chance to hear a bit about the William Julius Wilson Institute and the charge you're putting to all of us across the country.
This is an interesting time because the research is coming out. And I think the research is really critical. If you don't know who Raj Chetty is, he's an economist up at Harvard, and I think he's doing some of the foremost research in this country. But he was one of the first folks that came out with place matters, that in the end, and we all know this to be true, one neighborhood, there's no mobility at all. 3 blocks over, everybody's doing fine. And this is happening all over the country, that we have these low mobility neighborhoods. One of the reasons place matters, that you focus on a place, is because you can save individual kids, but you can't save kids at scale unless you change those places where those kids live. And that to me is critical. So right now, there's this movement going on across the country. There are folks who have just signed on, cities who are trying to do this work, a community. Some of the best work that I know is going on right now is happening in Dallas, it's happening in Spartanburg, it's happening in San Francisco, that they have come together, decided to raise the dollars to create a plan and to make sure that plan is scaling all across America. For the first time, we have our first state. Westmore passed something called the Enough Act in Maryland, where they are targeting, and here's the critical thing, he's targeting urban, rural, and suburban. Because you know what people think when it comes to poor folks? It's those people. Now, who those people are all depends on what neighborhood you live in. And it's not us. And if we're going to deal with this and get, I think, everybody bought in, we can't just think this is an urban problem or this is a Black problem or Latino. This is a problem impacting everybody everywhere in America. If you look at Raj Chetty's map about mobility, it will blow your mind. It is all across America that there's no mobility for huge numbers of kids. 90% of it is education, family breakdown, community breakdown. That's what causes this. Place matters. They're doing the first state in Maryland. We are having Poughkeepsie be the first city to actually pull this thing off in this country. But we've had over 240 different communities come visit us in Harlem, and over 45 countries that have come. Why? Because the old way doesn't work. I'm simply going to say this. And Rasta was at our superintendent's meeting. I told all the superintendents from around the country, this thing is designed to fail. You see, it's a design flaw. Why? Because if kids are behind and you keep them in school the same amount of time as kids who are on grade level, those kids don't catch up. They just stay behind. You got to give them more time to catch up. It's a simple concept, but one which America has refused to embrace. It's as simple as, why are schools closed in the summertime? You know what they told me when I was growing up? Because of the agrarian calendar. Now, my grandparents happened to be farmers. They wasn't out there picking crops in July and August. I mean, that was fall. So why a school? Because many decades ago, when schools were open in the summertime because of the Industrial Revolution, they had to be because parents had no place to send their kids. Rich people started leaving the city, which was smoggy and dirty, in the summertime and going away. And poor people said, if they don't have to come to school, I don't want to go to school either. This is truth. There's no rationale for it. We could change this thing, but it's so baked in right now, and everybody's belief is the only time you can have school. It runs from this to that, and that's it. So it doesn't work, and we won't change it. And what we're saying to people all over the country, we don't expect schools to do this by themselves. You can't. You need partners. You got to get a bunch of folks involved. My teachers can't start at 7 o'clock in the morning and go to 7 o'clock in the evening. We need to, where's the team off the bench? We need the other folks to come in and support these kids. So this is a movement, Rob. It's going on. I think folks are getting there because I think there's a realization just simply doing what we've been doing that hasn't worked for the last 50 years. There's no reason to think it's going to work next year. I'm going to pass it to Jill.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And I think I speak for everyone in the room when I say Poughkeepsie's in. So this last week, I got to spend a little time with two incredible students who have prepared a question for you. So we're going to start with Ms. Janae Stewart.
Hello, my name is Janae Stewart. I'm a senior at Poughkeepsie High School as well as a student board liaison and this year's valedictorian of the senior class. Thank you. And this fall, I'll also be attending Vassar College, was studying political science as well as journalism. Thank you once again. My one question for you tonight, Mr. Canada, is how do extracurricular activities help students outside of school, and how can Poughkeepsie support that?
And just so I'm clear, you asked, how can extracurricular activities support kids?
How do they?
How do they? Oh, yeah. So thank you for asking that question, because if I had longer, I would have talked about the fact that one of the things I'm the proudest about. So yes, we've eliminated the achievement gap between our students and white students in New York City and New York State. That's great. The thing I'm most proud about is we have some of the best sports programs. We have some of the best arts programs. I have 2 kids right now who came from my school who are professional actors because they started in our drama program when they were young. We have great music programs. My kids, I wish my kids were all like you. You probably can't wait to get to school to get more physics and algebra. My kids are not coming to school for that. They need sports. They need, look, probably 30% of my guys, the only reason they graduate high school and go to college is they have to maintain a 75 average to play sports. So they, by the time they get to be a senior and they realize professional sports is not in their life plan, then they think, oh, I guess I better go to college then. I think one of the biggest mistakes systems make is when we have a budget shortfall. They want to get rid of music. They want to get rid of the band. They want to get rid of drama. They say we have to keep the essential things. But when you look and say, well, why do kids want to come to school? Because that sense of belonging, and I'll tell you this, most of the folks I know who run businesses, they want to hire folks who play team sports. Why? Because there's something, you learn how to work in a team. You learn how to win and lose. You learn how never to give up. All of that is critical. So in places where they think all of this is sort of, optional, I think that's a real problem. So I am a huge believer. We have golf. I have a kid who was competing in gymnastics over in Romania. We believe, let's give our kids so many different things that every kid can find something that they like, because that'll keep them going. So thank you for your question. I'm a huge believer in these extracurricular activities.
Oh, hello. I'm Kamari Harden. I'm also a senior at Poughkeepsie High School. I am the captain of the track and field team. And I'm Poughkeepsie's MBK fellow, and and I'm president of Environmental Club. My question to you, Jennifer, Geoffrey Canada, is what can young people in Poughkeepsie do to assist each other towards better careers in the future?
Oh, great question. One of the biggest problems I think that young people your age have is most don't know what they want to do with their lives, right? So, and if you ask them, I'll tell you what everybody said when I was growing up. What do you want to be? A teacher, doctor, a lawyer. Why? They didn't know what, because that's all they had ever heard about. They didn't hear about anything else. Part of what I think young people could do is to spend time actually learning about the different career options that are available and talking with one another about that. So you have a young person, they don't know why they want to go to college, right? That's fine. But did you ever really think about things behind the scenes? Everybody wants to be a rapper, but rappers, I'm getting to a dime a dozen. The people who work constantly are the people who run the music companies, the producers. So how many one-hit wonders have you seen? You know who's constantly making money? The ones who are actually running the music studios, the recording studio. So a lot of times I think young people look for the glitz and the glamour, and they think, I'm gonna be a ball player, I'm gonna be a rapper. Reality is there are lots of really interesting and good jobs that we need to begin talking to one another about. So what's your event? I know you're a track. You're a sprinter? Come on, give me more. Okay. I don't think the 400 is a sprint. It wasn't when I was going. For me, that was a long distance race, but I know things have changed since so, but one of the things I would challenge someone like you, obviously you're a talented person, you're captain, you're doing these different things. I would challenge you, look into the sports business of track and field. It is huge. It is huge. And then not just the people running, it's not just the people running, there's a whole industry underneath that. So while kids are doing things, they should be looking around, trying to figure out, is anybody getting paid? Is there a way to get paid and do this thing at the same time? Because this is the one thing I will tell you. A lot of folks want to get rich, but you don't get rich because you want to get rich. You get rich because you love something and you do it better than anybody else has ever done it. I don't care what it is, and you will get rich. But you got to find that passion. And if you're passionate about something, try and find out, is there money to be made in doing this? I don't care. You like to listen to music? Is there money to be made doing this? You don't hear the videos? Is there money to be made doing this? So many people want to be on the talent end, but that's not where the money really is. That's where all the competition is. Money is usually underneath it. Share with your friends that there are these other possibilities. Let's look beyond the glitz and see where the money is behind the business. That's what I think young people could do with one another. Much easier for them to hear it from you than for them to hear it from me.
Hi, Mr. Canada. My name is Samoya Norwood. I had the opportunity of coming approximately 2 years ago to the Harlem's Children's Zone, and it was just remarkable to see, to visit the classrooms and see everything that the students were doing. And it was just like breathtaking. Like, we can bring that to Poughkeepsie, let's do it, right? So as a parent, my question is, what initiatives or strategies do you believe can be implemented to encourage greater parental involvement in supporting students' success and engagement?
Great question. Here's what I found out about my kids. I often want my kids to be deeply engaged in their children's lives, but so many of my own parents, they need so much help themselves. But I'm just being said that I'm trying to get them involved, and they're saying, well, but no one helped me, no one taught me. So this is what we did. Our programs end at 7, and then from 7 to 9, our programs are open for parents. Most time that a parent gets to interact with us as professionals is when their kid has done something wrong, right? And we're calling them in, saying, then there's all the tension, there's all of this, my parents are in my building all the time. So this just allows them to both have a relationship with us. So when we come in and say, she really shouldn't be, see, every day she got a soda before she got in, it gets her off the wall, can't we figure, then that's not like us condemning her, like we're making some statement about her life. It's like a friend is telling me, yeah, my kid was doing that and I stopped it because it's not healthy for them. Part of what we believe is create opportunities for your parents to be involved and engaged in healthy things. Don't make it all about their kids. Make it about them. Let them have, you'll be surprised. They want to, we have a gym. They want a gym too. We got dance class. They want dance class too. We got exercise. They want exercise too. So we want to talk to them about why Raheem is giving us such a hard time, right? Get to that after you develop a relationship with that parent and they feel part of your community. So we think you bring parents into the community. They realize we're all in this thing together. And yes, we're going to hold you accountable, mom or dad. That's part of the deal. But we're also going to share with the community the other things the community can bring to help your life be better. So we think this is, don't just wait for there to be a crisis to involve parents, or just don't get parents and start teaching them what they need to do for their kids. Do some things for them. Let them have some fun in there. Believe me, they need fun. They need peace. They need meditation and prayer. They need all that stuff. And they need guidance. So we want to give them some of this other stuff before we start saying, and by the way, having them stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning on that phone is killing us. He's sleeping in school. That's not right. If that's the only conversation I had with you, it sounds like I'm saying you're a lousy parent and I'm calling you on it. Versus, I know you're a child, you're here all the time, but here's something I know. And so at least you have a relationship. You know who I am. You know I'm not some arrogant, whatever, just on you for your kids. We don't offer opportunities for our parents to be in any kind of a relationship with us. So we want our parents to have a relationship. That's what we would encourage, to engage them. And yes, hold them accountable. Make sure they have real, I think, support when they need it. But also remember, a lot of our parents are only a few years out of being those young people that we're working with ourselves. And many of them haven't had the kind of opportunities to develop and grow in a healthy, nurturing environment. And so we need to help support that also. That's why the Harlem Children's Zone is not just about the children, right? It's about the parents. It's about the community. It's about the neighborhood. So people feel like they're part of something that's healthy and responsive and cares about them and their child. Now, if you think that means all our parents love us and they don't curse us out, no, that's not the case either, right? It's not. But what I say to my staff when that parent is angry and frustrated and cursing and raising hell, I say, we meant to do that. We came to Harlem because we know our people have felt abandoned and abused and no one can, and we may be the first authority figure they get a chance to tell how they feel. So let's just listen. Doesn't mean we're going to back off. It doesn't mean we're going to be scared, but don't take it personal. It ain't personal. We are dealing with people who are struggling and trying to do the best they can do. And we have to constantly remember they didn't get up this morning saying, "Boy, I just can't wait to find some principle to curse out," right? That's not how they started, right? So part of the challenge in working in our community where there's so much pain and so much trauma is it comes out sometimes in inappropriate ways. And we've got to be prepared, right? We don't want to make it routine and we don't want to accept lousy behavior, but we certainly don't want to use that to judge a parent for real. Realize, and this may be one of the toughest moments in this person's life right now that they're going through when they're acting out this way. So it's important, I think, for us to develop relationship.
Stuff. So we're gonna close out. So I'm gonna call up James Watson, Poughkeepsie Children's Cabinet co-founder, and City Council Chair Deron Wilson to close us out with some special gifts on behalf of our community for Jeff. So thank you, Jeff.
So we're gonna be quick. Thank you everybody for staying late on a school night. Dry and I get to go to some conferences with Jeff every once in a while, and we hear from Jeff, and we hear about Jeff traveling all around the country, and he tells us about all the gifts that all these places around the country give him. And these are big time gifts. So, you know, I mean, when Jeff is out helping Oakland, it's the coach of the Golden State Warriors who's giving him a signed jersey with Jeff's name on the back. So we don't have an NBA team, but we have our community that we're all so proud of. And so Jeff has put the call out there for his army of love, that he's enlisting people in his army of love. And I think we've all kind of, you know, spoiler alert, we're in. But when everybody came in today, you should have gotten in your bag a little coin. And those coins are what they're called challenge coins. And so those coins started in the military, challenge coins. They're a symbol of pride in your unit. They're usually with elite teams. You all are an elite team. And we could not be prouder to be in this community with you all. And so, Jeff, we wanted to leave you with a little token of Poughkeepsie. And if it's okay with you, I would like everybody in the audience to hold up your coin and to formally enlist in Jeff's army of love. And so, Jeff, if you wouldn't mind, on the back of all of your coins, it's very small, I don't expect everybody to read it, but you have an excerpt from Jeff's poem. And Jeff, if you wouldn't mind, we'll do a little call and response, if that's okay.
Yep.
Jeff's going to read the line, you say it back. We've got 4 lines.
But when you love all the children, there's nothing to do but start a small army of love. Me and you.
So I hope everybody will take this coin, take it with you. Like Jeff said, this is a great night. The energy is high, but this work is hard. And you're all going to leave here, and there's going to be down days. But know that you're in a community with all of us. You're now officially part of the Poughkeepsie Children's Cabinet with all of us. You're now officially part of our chapter of the Army of Love. So thank you, Jeff, for everything you do and your partnership with us. So close us out tonight. I just wanted to say, you know, thank you to join this stage with Common Council Chair Deron Wilson. Chair Wilson's a tireless advocate for children and families in Poughkeepsie long before becoming council chair. And in his current role, we all know he continues to ensure children and families are prioritized by city government. I'm proud to call him a colleague in this work, and there's no better person to let have the last word tonight.
Thank you very much, and peace and blessings to everybody. As you know, we don't have a lot of time. I'm going off a little script. Anybody knows me knows that I do that sometimes. So one of our first gifts, though, we definitely want to present Mr. Canada with our Pioneers hat, because you know we're leading the way. Pioneers lead the way. And as you know, our focus is on the North Side, and we don't have an NBA team, but what the North Side does have, and I've been given permission from Coach Archer to give Mr. Canada an official North Side Bandits jersey. And anybody that knows Poughkeepsie. And as we close out, you know, you hear a lot of times people say, I did this, I did that, but there's no I in team. There's no I in Army, but what there is an I in is soldier. And I myself want to know who else wants to be a soldier in this army of love. Now, I didn't sign up. I told Mr. Canada, I'm a lieutenant. The general has gave us our orders. General Canada has given us our orders. Who is going to commit to be a soldier in this army of love for Poughkeepsie? The Harlem Children's Zone, Cradle to Career. People might not understand what we're talking about. We're talking about from the cradle. They go to the projects where the children and the families are about to have babies. And they get those families, bring them in, bring the parents in, have them nurture, teach them parenting classes, give them diapers. And then they follow those children all the way until they get their career. Mr. Brian, is he still here? Is Brian still here? Really? Right in the back. That young man right there is a product. He is a former student in the Harlem Children's Zone. Children's Zone, and now he's one of our partners that's leading Play Space. Before we close out, I want everyone in here to close your eyes, please. Everyone in here, close your eyes. Because if you don't think this work doesn't work, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to listen to me. Think about a child growing up on the north side of Poughkeepsie, a child of a single parent sometimes. Think about a child that has a parent, a mother, multiple kids, a father, but this child is then supported by the community. This child is then supported by their family. This child is then supported by the school district, because you might not think this Cradle to Career we're talking about this journey, and we're talking about a child. Can it work? Can the Cradle Career work? I want you to open your eyes. Robert Watson Jr. is from the north side of Poughkeepsie. Robert Watson Jr. was born in Martin Luther King Projects. Martin Luther King Projects. Robert Watson Jr. graduated from Poughkeepsie High School. Robert Watson Jr. went to Harvard. Robert Watson Jr. now is the executive director of the Harvard School of Ed Redesign. You can't tell me that Cradle to Cradle doesn't work. We have an example right here, Robert Watson Jr., and he's a champion for children. He's been in this, and he's a clear example of how we all come together, we can have more of this. Thank you, and thank you, Geoffrey Canada.